Hi, we're going to be learning how to play the flute today. First thing you're going to do is set your case on a flat surface. I have my desk in front of me, my flute's sitting on there. I opened it with the latches facing down so that when you open it up, the flute is on the bottom where it's supposed to be. First thing you're going to grab is the head joint, and with gentle twisting, we're going to attach it to the body of the instrument, which looks like this. It's a long one with the most keys. You're going to use, like I said, gentle twisting without grabbing any of the rods or keys to attach this piece to this piece. And then what you're going to do is look down as if it's a pool cue, pass the tone hole to these big keys, and make sure the tone hole and the big keys are aligned. So you can kind of check from this end, and then maybe check from this end as well, and make sure they're both aligned, as it's really important that the tone hole is aligned with the keys. Then we're going to take our foot joint, and this bottom key here, the rod on the foot joint is going to cut the big key on the body in half. So it'll look like, let's see, like this, with this rod cutting this key in half. So posture, we're going to talk about supporting the flute with our left hand, and it should be supported almost like a balance point right here with your left pointer finger. And this kind of meaty part of your knuckle right there, the flute is going to rest right there, and that's going to be most of your support so that you don't have to have your thumb on the instrument to keep it upright. Then, after that, your thumb is going to go onto the long fat key on the back here. Your first finger is going to go on the second key. Then you're going to skip one and go to the fourth key. Third finger goes there. Fourth finger goes just next to that one. Excuse me. Then we're going to skip down to the lower end of the instrument. Your right hand, the thumb is going to support the flute just under this key here. And then these last three keys, three round keys, your fingers are just going to go 1, 2, 3 right in a row. And then your pinky is going to rest on this long fat key there. So, making sure that we're supporting it with our left hand, we're going to make sure that the keys are always facing the ceiling and that the flute is always parallel to the floor. We don't want it any lower, any higher. We don't want the keys facing forward or back, but straight up, making sure our flute is parallel. And that is how we use correct posture. A mistake that a lot of beginners make is they will bring themselves to the flute. So they'll kind of bring it up this way and lean forward and pick it up. And you can see already I'm kind of leaning down a little bit. My posture is a little bit forward. I want to make sure that I'm completely upright and then bring the flute up to me, making sure that the keys are facing the ceiling, that the flute is parallel to the ground. So in order to form an embouchure, we're going to make an OK, and we're going to take an airstream and we're going to blow it through the OK and move it slowly away, trying to keep the airstream steady and consistent. And in order to keep my air going through this hole as I move it farther away, I have to be really focused and have a really steady support of air in order to get that to happen, which is what you need to play the flute. So when playing the flute, you use a 2 attack. And it almost looks a little bit like a smile, and that's kind of what your embouchure is like, with the 2 with a smile and with that steady airstream. And that's similar to what your embouchure is going to do. The next step will be to take your finger, put it just below your bottom lip here to simulate what the lip plate will feel like, and do the same thing. Trying to get my air to go over the top of my finger and not down, because that will be detrimental later when learning the flute. And that's pretty similar to the embouchure. The next step will be to add the actual lip plate against your lip instead of just your finger. And once I can get a steady tone such as that, we're going to add it to the flute. Gentle twisting, make sure that I'm aligned. And the first note we're going to learn is B flat. There's a couple different fingerings, but for now we're going to learn the chromatic fingering, which is going to be thumb, 1, and then on your right hand, 1 and pinky. And let's see if I can't play B flat. So that was my B flat. My intonation was a little shaky, And near the end, I added some vibrato to help with my intonation. And in order to do vibrato, you're going to think about pulsating your air with your abdominal muscles. Now, there might be a little bit of sympathetic motion in your throat, but you shouldn't try to let that happen. It should just happen naturally as you're using your abdominal muscles to pulsate the air. It's very similar to a singing vibrato in case you're a singer. So, a couple of notes to watch out for is the C sharp, which is just a pinky. It's a very sharp note, so you're going to want to try to lip that down. And to tune, you want to use an A, and you usually tune to a minor chord, like this, and you'll play your A. And if you're a little bit sharp, you'll pull out a little bit to lower the pitch. If you're flat, you can push in a little bit using the head joint here to adjust your intonation. And now we're going to move on to articulation. And again, using our B flat with the thumb one pinky fingering. I'm going to use 2, and I'm going to do 1, 2, and T, 4, and I'm going to use a constant airstream like with our OK game. And my goal is to have the airstream never stop, but my tongue will be like a sprinkler, that the little blade that interrupts the water. That is how my tongue will be with the airstream using a 2-syllable. Got a little bit of vibrato at the end there. And then just a couple of range considerations. When you get into the low register, you want to think a little bit more of an E syllable as opposed to the 2, which is a little more oo. So as you get lower, you're going to think a little more E, which is going to help you get to those lower notes. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done with the flute today, and happy practicing.